Greetings, fellow Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. We're at the halfway point now of Season 2 of Doctor Who, with Lucky Day that has just landed, which was obviously the Doctor Who Light episode for Season 2. Did it hold up? Was it as good as the previous 3 episodes? Is it one of the best Doctor Who Light episodes, or did it just fall flat on its face? Before I answer those questions, I just want to say a massive thank you for everyone for watching this channel. The viewership has gone up over the last few weeks, or even last couple of months actually, which I'm really grateful for. But if you can please hit that subscribe button, that'll really help out this channel as I aim for the 1,000 subscriber target for the end of 2025. But thank you to those who have subscribed and keep checking out this channel already. We've got a lot of questions that need answering, so let's go through the spoiler talk review of Lucky Day. And yes, it's going to be full of spoilers for this one, you have been warned. So we start off with the Doctor and Belinda arriving on Earth New Year's Day 2007 at the stroke of midnight with their trusty old Vindicator. But they do stumble across a young boy, and the Doctor gives him 50p and basically tells him to run along. That young boy turns out to be Conrad, who grows up and is obsessed about finding the Doctor again and that mysterious blue box. His prayers are somewhat answered 17 years later in the form of Ruby. He puts out this post of trying to find this girl, as he does see the blue box again 17 years later in one of the 15th Doctor's and Ruby's adventures. He invites Ruby onto his podcast, and they talk a little bit about the Doctor. A spoiler-free podcast, if you will, but they start to grow a bit of a bond between them, because obviously Ruby is kind of struggling with dealing with life after the Doctor, and even though she's got her family around her, you know, getting back to normal life is a bit difficult for her. Romance start to blossom and they kiss, and I thought when they were kissing, I thought they was clearly going to get interrupted by Mrs. Flood, but nope, they get a full-on snog. More on Mrs. Flood later. But jumping back a bit, when Conrad saw the Doctor and the blue box the second time round, he actually followed the Doctor and Ruby on one of their adventures, pretty much set after the Devil's Cord, as Ruby was mentioning that, oh my god, half an hour ago, we was in the 1960s with the Beatles. So in this sort of abandoned department store that was giving me Rose Tyler vibes, or Rose vibes, I thought the Autons was going to creep in at some point. We're tracking down an alien being called a Shriek, which kind of remind me of Gozer from the Ghostbusters. Very scary looking creature, to be honest, for Saturday night tea time. Really like the effects there for the Shriek, which was kind of like this sort of dimension jumping alien that sort of sprays its pheromones to its prey, which Ruby got sprayed with, as did Conrad. The Doctor gave Ruby an antidote to make the pheromones wear off, but she only drank half of the antidote. She gave the other half, flash forward back to now, she gave half the antidote to Conrad to obviously make sure that he doesn't get affected. Even though the Shriek was locked away in unit, you can never be too careful. So Ruby and Conrad, they go off to this quiet village to meet some of Conrad's friends, and then weird things start to happen in this local pub. The sort of lights start to flicker, and it's the same sort of energy vibes that the Shriek was giving, but hang on, the Shriek was locked in this unit basement again, a bit like Ghostbusters in the sort of trapdoor vaults that they locked all the ghosts in. That's what again kind of reminded me of in unit headquarters. So what the heck is this Shriek going here? And it turns out that Conrad didn't take the antidote. He wanted to be brave for Ruby. He wanted to be just like the Doctor, and Ruby's like, you idiot, you've put everyone in danger, you stay there, I'm gonna sort this out. Ruby manages to get hold of units, and they fly over there in breakneck speed to take on the Shriek. But it's not the Shriek. They are a bunch of actors in sort of alien costumes, and it turns out it was Conrad all along. Boo! Yeah, so Conrad, yes, he's not going to be there for Ruby. He's just there for his own gains. He's basically part of this group called Think Tank, which was a harkback to the Think Tank organization from the Fourth Doctor story, the Fourth Doctor's debut story, I might add, Robot. This version of Think Tank, however, is basically Conrad spreading all sorts of just propaganda and conspiracy theories about UNIT. What do they do? Why are they spending millions of pounds of our money for protecting aliens when aliens are not real? They're just making, it's just fake sort of costumes like us here. So what are UNIT really doing? Boo UNIT and all that kind of conspiracy nonsense, which leaves UNIT in danger because Conrad has spread all the addresses and names of all the members of UNIT, and just leaves poor Ruby's life in tatters again, because obviously she trusted him and he broke her heart. Fast forward this episode, and Conrad managed to infiltrate UNIT and basically is having a showdown between Kate and Colonel Ibrahim, and Shirley is back, so great to see Shirley again. And yeah, he's basically saying this is all lies. Even your father, Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, he was just utter nonsense lies about what you're doing. There are no such things as aliens. So Kate basically goes, all right then, you take on the Shriek yourself. And yeah, he's on camera. They sort of post it all over social media, and he's fighting for his life. He's fearing for his life, and he's like, okay, all right, aliens are real. So they basically deal with the Shriek and lock Conrad away, but not without his arm getting bit by the Shriek. So yeah, it went really, really dark, really, really quick towards the end of this episode. But we had a little bit more left in the tank, because whilst Conrad was in his prison cell, the Doctor pays a visit. He basically, you hear the TARDIS noise, and then just jump cuts to him, to Conrad being inside the TARDIS with the Doctor. And yeah, he's not best pleased with Conrad's work. You hurt my friend. You are just noise. You have to be special to be inside my TARDIS, but you are special for all the wrong reasons. To which Conrad basically sort of turns around and says, I don't believe in your reality. The Doctor's basically telling Conrad, you're just going to die boiling in your own anger and hatred at the age of 49, and no one's gonna care. You are just a footnote. You're not even a footnote. The world will be a better place. And yeah, Conrad goes, I don't accept your reality, Doctor. Have you met Belinda Chandra yet? So we kind of left with that sort of open question. So I feel like this episode is just preceding the robot revolution. So the Doctor goes running off to find Belinda because of that odd statement. Leaves Conrad in the prison cell, and then who turns out to be the governor in this prison? Dum bum bum, Mrs. Flood. She basically sort of jangles some keys and goes, today is your lucky day. I am the governor. This is your lucky day, to end the episode. But yes, lots of twists and turns, lots of winks and nods from the past. But let's just break it down a bit and talk about the main characters. Obviously, like I said, Doctor Who like episode. It was always going to be a hard sell, even more so because we only get 8 episodes a season. So a lot of Whovians were a little bit sort of worried that we are still doing these Doctor Who like episodes, or Doctor like episodes, with a shorter episode run. But actually, this one worked quite well. Starting off with Ruby, it was great to see Millie Gibson back as Ruby, and I'm glad they went into the direction of life after the Doctor, because this is something that doesn't get explored that much in Doctor Who, and particularly, if anything, the mental health side, and definitely Ruby struggling with PTSD. Felt that Millie had to carry this episode on her back, very similar to 73 Yards, and yeah, definitely brought a bit more for a character to do. And I like the little sort of chat about obviously when she started to meet Conrad and started to fall for him. She was thinking less and less, or mentioning the doctor less and less to her family, and but into her own sort of admission, to her own admission. You know, she was waiting for the doctor to come back or waiting for the world to end, you know, one of the two. So, yeah, she had a lot of trauma to unpack. And again, it's the same sort of nitpick that I've had for all the episodes. It needs to be 15 minutes longer. You know, if we do get eventually do get a Doctor Who season 3, I hope they are an hour long, because we, as much as it was great what we got in this 45 minutes, just I know with pacing maybe it could make things a bit more difficult, but God, we could have really explored so much more in terms of the psyche of Ruby and this life after the Doctor. And yeah, she phones up. Ruby phones up Kate to sort of say about the Doctor, and we have this little moment between the Ruby and Kate, and basically Kate sort of treating Ruby as a own surrogate mother, where Kate said to Ruby, "Oh, I've always got time for you," and even Shirley just giving a sort of a quick joke of to Ruby, like, "Oh, are you collecting mums these days?" You know. But they mentioned Mel. Mel was off in Australia doing her own thing for units. But if anything was crying out for the counselors of ex Doctor companions to come back, this should have been a moment between the Doctor, between Ruby and Mel, about life after the Doctor. You know, how did you cope? How did do you are you wishing to travel back with the Doctor? You know, all of that could have easily been explored with Ruby and Mel if we had those extra 15 minutes. But as a second alternative, I'm glad we had that moment between Ruby and Kate Lethbridge Stewart. For me, this was Gemma Redgrave's best performance as Kate. Yeah, because I've struggled with Kate in some episodes. You know, I like the character, but at the same time, they don't give her that much to do, so she does feel a little bit flat sometimes. Here, best performance today. You know, even though she's been in the Whoniverse for over 10 years now, um, it sort of, you know, it feels like we're picking up the gears, running into obviously the spin-off that's coming up, the war between the land and sea. And I did have doubts that whether Kate could be the leader of this, you know, could be the lead character for this spin-off. Not anymore, not after this performance. Short but sweet, but yeah, I feel that if we are going in that direction of Kate when she needs to switch it on and go dark, that's the best way to go with this character. You know, to be a bit of a contrast to the Doctor, even to the point where Colonel Ibrahim was sort of a bit doubtful of Kate's direction or action to deal with Conrad. I'm glad that they kind of still carrying on with this sort of romance of Kate and Colonel Ibrahim. But yeah, they're gonna have their relationship tested, I think, in the war between the land and sea, and I'm glad we saw that in this episode. Hats off also to Jonah Howard King as Conrad. I feel quite a few Whovians might have saw the twist coming in the terms of Conrad being bad all along. I think that's just how our brains are sort of just sort of used to in terms of TV tropes. But I honestly felt that twist felt fresh, and I think that was because down to Jonah's performance as Conrad. You know, yes, he was a bad guy all along, but yeah, he knew how to turn on the charms, like he was as Prince Eric in the Little Mermaid movie. But yeah, knew how to also be the full on baddie and this conspiracist nut for part of think tank. I thought that was yeah, just a nice sort of added layer to his character. Definitely ain't going to see the last of him as well. Between, you know, particularly the barbs between Conrad and the Doctor Loved Shuti Gatwa's moment here in this episode as well. He really brought the fire and edge that I've been yearning since season 1. Obviously, we've had the emotional side, and yeah, we're clicking it up a gear. And, you know, we saw a side of that Doctor who's a bit more of a kind of more, I would say more, not gentler, but very much a happy-go-lucky Doctor we've got in this incarnation of the 15th Doctor. In this verbal contest between the 15th Doctor and Conrad, I felt vibes of the 9th Doctor here, but I felt like if the 9th Doctor would have just grabbed him, put him in the TARDIS, and then flung him out of the door, I think, into space. Whereas, you know, the 15th Doctor, you know, again, probably a little bit similar to 10th Doctor as well in Family of Blood. You know, his punishment is to be in that cell and rot until the age of 49 and be nothing. That's some dark punishment here from the Doctor. But yeah, that's not going to happen. I'm sure Conrad will be making an appearance in the season 2 finale alongside Mrs. Flood. I 1 minute I'm thinking she's Durrani, 1 minute I'm thinking she's Susan or another Time Lord. I don't know now. At one point I was saying a White Guardian. She's going to be the good person in the end, but I don't know. After that conversation between Conrad and Mrs. Flood, I think she could be the Black Guardian. The jangling of keys, I don't know if you count them, my fellow Whovians. If there's 6 keys, like the 6 segments to the key to time, that's a little bit of a hidden clue for me. That's my new bet now. Mrs. Flood is the Black Guardian. Let me know in the comments below who you think Mrs. Flood is. This story, the more I think about it, just had elements of everything, but again, just felt fresh. I did feel a little bit of Love and Monsters vibes, Ghostbusters vibes, the Mordrin Undead as well, Think Tank with the sort of wink and nod to robots. But also like but again, just put a little bit of a fresh spin on it with the whole sort of social commentary around just angry people on social media and conspiracy theories, and it's good to have, it's good to have a fair balance. This is what I liked about the message from this episode was, everything's good in moderation. Yes, you can have your conspiracy funds. Yes, you can have a voice and say when things are wrong, it is wrong. But when it goes into when you're sort of going too far sort of right or too far in the wrong direction, that's where things get dangerous and very difficult. And I'm glad, like I said, I'm glad that this was explored in this episode. I'm going to give Lucky Day a TARDIS rating of 7.5 out of 10. It was, for a Doctor-like story, pretty solid. I'm glad that they managed to still keep it within the context of the season 2 story arc, where we sort of had the beginning with the Doctor and Belinda obviously trying to get back to Earth 2025, but also having that sort of ending part where we are sort of steering the story arc forward in terms of Mrs. Flood kind of recruiting Conrad, or at least sort of tempting Conrad into some kind of alliance. But also at the same time exploring Ruby. We had a bit of sort of a breather for the story arc in terms of exploring Ruby's character a bit more, and also really sort of launching, having a bit of a launching point for Unit for the upcoming spin-off, The War Between the Land and Sea. Quite a hard juggle to do, and there was moments where I thought, oh, this is going to go a bit wrong. But that final sort of 15 minutes really just sort of ramped it up again. And yeah, managed to stick the landing. So yeah, was impressed with this episode. It's been a strong season. Definitely Doctor Who Season 2 is in full swing. Sort of difference between that and Season 1. Where was this in Season 1? Don't get me wrong, I did like quite the majority of the episodes of Season 1. But in terms of just raising the bar, which is definitely what I wanted, so I can't complain too much. But yeah, the bar has been raised and then some. So yeah, overall, thumbs up for me. Plus extra bonus points for cameo appearances of Trinity Wells and Ellie from Who Culture. That was a nice surprise to see. Good for her. But what did you think to Lucky Day? Did you enjoy this episode? Did you find it your least favourite episode for this season so far? And what are your final theories on who is Mrs. Flood? Let me know in those comments below. But thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Facebook and X. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor related content on the Timey Wimey Review TikTok. And of course, right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. Thanks as always for your love and support. Until we meet again.